And welcome to the latest episode of New Londinium 1910, my Let's Build series set in a heavily modded Minecraft steampunk world. So in the last episode, we went ahead and laid down the roadbed from my manor house that I've been working on to the town of Twin Spires, which you see off in the distance there. And you know, there's still a lot of work to do because we need to run the road through Twin Spires and on to the worksite of the central core of what will be New Londinium. And of course, there's a lot of detail and you know, immersive flavoring that we need to build and install along the road. But today's focus is here, where I want to basically build a barn. The realization is that I set up the road, but I knew that I had this livestock area over here, and I hadn't quite figured out how to integrate the two. I'm still not entirely sure how I will, but it got me thinking, and it's like, well, you know, we're building this road because I'm going to be running that road with a wagon, but the wagon's going to be pulled by a horse, but I don't have a horse, nor do I have a saddle to get a horse, but even if I did, I don't have a place to put the horse. And then I realized, you know what, I need to build a barn. So that's what I'm going to do today. The question is, what's that barn going to look like, and whether or not I'm going to extend it to include the other pens, because I think it should, but you know, one thing at a time here. So that's my goal today. And I think you know, typically your outer buildings of your compound would probably be made from the same type of materials and design as the main building in your compound. So that's what I'm gonna shoot for, right? And I'm actually looking forward to it because once I have a place to put my horse, then well, I guess, I mean, it's kind of like what I've been saying all along, is I don't necessarily need a barn, right? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I've done that I don't need to do, but A, I'm pretty compulsive, and B, it's not just about doing this as fast as possible, as quick as possible. It's about enjoying it, you know, going on the journey and making things the way I want to make them. Like if I was really there, how I'd want to experience life or live my life. So that's the name of the game. And that's part of the reason why I want to build the barn at all, or extend it over the other pens. Because like I said, I don't need to. I mean, look, I got oodles of chickens, which I need to start doing something with shortly. But, you know, I recently have watched a series of videos, and I've posted some of them on the community or the post page of the channel about how we play computer games, right? And I strongly agree with the guy who made the videos, but I mean, it's kind of worth talking about to other game players, because I think a lot of us kind of get caught up in some mechanics based off of sometimes expectations that we set for ourselves, sometimes expectations that have been set for us by our peers or other gamers, or you know, creators on YouTube or whatever. And I think part of that is this kind of like rush, right? Rush to get the latest game, rush to finish the latest game, the rush to complete a playthrough, or in the case of like Minecraft, right? The rush to get to the nether, the rush to get to the end, the rush to kill the dragon, the rush to, you know, say, then what? Right? It's just like, so I mean, you know, for some people that's totally what they're up for, and I get that. But you know, for the rest of us, okay. I had one guy running around here. Now I've got two. Okay. I don't even... The first guy just kind of wandered in from the wilderness. I don't know where the second guy came in, because he looks pretty well... like he's made himself right at home already. I don't know. Oh boy. Oh boy, I don't have a lot of dirt either. Okay. So, he's gonna have to go harvest some dirt. I don't have any hidden in my backpack. But I can drop off some of these saplings and such. Interesting. I really didn't want the manor house to be a village per se, because I'm running around here trying to get stuff done, and having the hammers and the haws standing around in my way is gonna drive me nuts. It's kind of like when you're trying to get stuff done in the yard and your dog just wants to be close to you, so they lay down in the middle of whatever you're doing. Oh, jeez. Well, I mean, the good news is it's not the end of the episode. I mean, I think we broke that pattern finally. But, Anyway, as I was saying, really, we play these games. Well, and like I said, some people play. We all play them for different reasons, and some people play them to get them done as fast as possible, right? Or to just to be busy or whatever. But I think most of us play games like Minecraft, not just for a quick sense of accomplishment, but because we like exploring. We like seeing what's over the next hill. We like spending time in a particular type of biome or something. I mean, even vanilla, you can really get this feeling like you're there. And, this, as the Eagles would say, a peaceful, easy feeling out when you're in the wilderness, right? And that's pretty cool. Right? And I think that's important. As I've said all along, it's not just the destination. It's the journey, right? Because like in a project like this is, as I've said many, many times, this is not a one and done type project. This is, it's not even like, a season or two and then we're done. This is what I perceive as going to be a multiple year project. Multiple year, maybe, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, I don't know. But, I showed you my plans. That's pretty expansive plans, pretty aggressive, right? And, that's not something you're going to, crank out in a week or a year, maybe two. A lot of work to be done. So let's not be in a rush to get there, buy the t-shirt and head home. Let's enjoy the ride, right? Let's enjoy the scenery along the side of the road. Let's stop and see some of the sights along the way. Usually some of the best places to eat are places that you find little hole in the wall type places. But this is what I'm getting at, right? The experience. Let's not cheat ourselves out of the experience. And I think for a lot of people, they kind of get wrapped up in that, right? Especially because this is definitely a grandpa moment. But way back when computer games were still new, computer games were so new, we didn't really even have genres, right? We just talked about computer games as a whole. We didn't talk about shooters. We didn't talk about builders. We didn't talk about RPGs. They were just computer games. And they came out. I mean, there was a few companies that were making them, but they came out so infrequently that for a while, for like the first few years I had a computer, I could buy every single computer game that came out, because one would come out and I had like couple weeks at least, sometimes a month before another one came out, right? I mean, I could play a game and kind of get into it, and then the next one come out. And We didn't have genres then, right? I mean, just if you play computer games, nobody said, "Well, I play this type of game, but not that type." We're all pretty much played them all. Then, of course, over time, we got genres, and now you have people who, I play this type of game, I don't like those other types of games, and this, that, and that. Well, it's been that way for a number of years, but that's not the way it used to be, right? And now, with the sheer number of games that come out, right? I mean, I think I read that, like, as of September, October, 13,000 games had been loaded up on Steam in 2025, right? 13,000. And I assure you that you go through your discovery queue, I go through my discovery queue, even if you do them like multiple times a day, you're seeing a fraction of those, right? And quite frankly, that number just boggles the imagination. But even obviously, since you don't know, I'm going to get rid of this coarse dirt here. I got 12 of them. Oh, that worked out. And then we'll make dirt paths, and the coarse dirt goes bye-bye. But that is and it repopulated my shelf. Half the time that works, half the time it doesn't. Anyway, it is an amazing number of games. I actually got to go one more because I'm gonna extend the barn one row of blocks further than the fence currently is. But that's a phenomenal number. And if you're like me, you've got a wish list that has like a non-trivial number of games. I mean, I just knocked a bunch off, and I think I'm back below 100. But games. And I think for some people, there's kind of like this emotional need to play them all as fast as possible. It's kind of like you're at the buffet, and it's like you're not even hungry, but you need to go up and get. You need to go up and get another plate because you didn't try the lasagna, and you need to get another plate because they have 5 different desserts you want, and you got to sample them all. And I think that kind of gets us into a way of thinking, a way of playing, where it's just like rush, get it done. Move on to the next one, right? We talk about games in terms of like how many hours for a playthrough. Oh, get this one done in 50 hours, and why worry about it, right? Why don't you just play it until either you're done playing it or it's done, right? Don't be in a rush. And I don't really remember where I started with all this, but that's the thing. And I'm no spring chicken. I'm at an age where, well, I mean, something I've been thinking about even when I was younger, right, was I always figured that my friend Eric, who passed a year ago, but I always figured, one day I'd be retired, he'd be retired, and that's just what we would do, right, is we'd play computer games together. Now, I just took that for granted, and in the end, it was unfortunate. Speaking of unfortunate, I gotta go make these into dirt bricks, and that's at the botany bench, all the way at the bottom of my basement. But I kind of just thought that my golden years would be kind of like a return to my teenage years, right? Where where is the botany bench? Ooh, it must be downstairs from here. I mean, this is already downstairs. I want downstairs. Yep, there it is. Anyway, I just figured that's because let's face it, if I wasn't working for a living, I'd spend time with my I'd spend time with my family and I would play games, right? That's just what I would do. And I do that, even though, well, even when I am working. I'm not working at the moment, but the idea of retirement is that I have a lot more time for that, and you know, that's kind of like okay with me. That's what I want to do with the rest of my life. That sounds fun. That sounds like a great way. I think I've spent a lot of time working hard to deserve that. So I think about that type of thing a lot, because now I'm get the age where the golden years are in the headlights, and that's really what I'm looking forward to. I mean, you know, some people want to go like putter in the garden, or you know, sit and read books or write books or whatever. You know, yeah, that's cool. Whatever floats your boat. But for me, it's pretty much doing this. And, you know, it's interesting. It's interesting because I think this is a good way to go about it. Simply because in recent years, as I've gotten older, we have had friends, relatives, family friends that have also gotten older. And people who were adults when I was very young, the ones that are still around, you know, I'm no spring chicken, and they're even less spring-like than I am. And, you know, at that age, some of them really are having problems. You know, the physical stuff, yeah, but I think one of the things I'm seeing is like quite a few of them. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, so I'll knock out the middle two. You know, yeah, a lot of them have physical ailments, but I think the thing that is kind of surprising me the most, and in fact kind of worries me the most, there's 9 here, so, but it doesn't have to be centered. Anyway, the thing that kind of freaks me out the most, and I'm seeing it happen to some of these people, is they're losing. I wouldn't say losing their mind. They're not crazy. They're losing their ability to think. They're losing their memory. You know, one of our family friends, you know, she just had her 93rd birthday. And when you sit down to talk to her, right, she seems very lucid, and you're having a great conversation, and about 5 minutes in the conversation, she starts asking you exactly the same questions she asked 5 minutes before, right? And you'll give her those answers, and 5 to 10 minutes later, she'll get curious and ask you the same questions all over again. And it's just, and that is the thing that I worry about, right? Because, you know, you saw Stephen Hawking, he was in a wheelchair, but he was still able to use a computer and stuff. I'm not so worried about the physical side as much as I am the mental side. But with that said, you know, they say one of the, both physical and mental, use it or lose it, right? And, let's place this in the middle. And you know, I'm out there getting my steps in and stuff today, and I can see how that is. I see people my age moving around, and they're not moving around so well, and I'm still moving around pretty well. So I see that's working. But I think game playing and the type of games I play and the way that I play them, I think this is a very important piece to me feeling and thinking like a younger person, right? When I say younger, I'm not out to be a teenager, which is where I kind of started. But, you know, this idea of I'm out there being challenged. I'm growing mentally, even if there's a lot more gray in my beard than there used to be. I think it's important, right? And I think when you stop doing that, then you really kind of run the risk of deteriorating. And this is kind of what I see. I see a lot of people who sharp as a tack, and they're working, then they retire, and within a couple years of working, they start to become very forgetful and unorganized, and just kind of, they're living every day, but more and more, it's not like they've lost a sense of purpose. A good friend of mine I used to work with is kind of going through this. In the past, he's been laid. Well, he was laid off, but then he's old enough. He's like, well, I'll just retire, and we have a chat every week, and for the first year, he was still sharp as a tack, and he's out there. He's got things he's trying to do. He's like maybe spinning up some businesses and stuff. And over the course of the next year, he just kind of relaxed. He kind of gave up on that. He figured he was just gonna, just see where life takes him. And I need to get dirt. I got a whole bunch of grassy dirt, but I don't need the grass. Anyway, and he kind of quit having a schedule, right? He was just playing each day, as it happened. And now when I talk to him, he's not as bad as the other friend who's in her 90s. I mean, he's in his late 60s, but each week, I mean, he's not so bad he forgets what he told me 5 minutes ago, but he is bad enough that he tells me every week the same thing, right? He's like, what'd you do? Well, I did this. Oh, that's great. And then next week, what'd you do? Oh, I did this. I know you told me about that already. What else did you do? Oh, nothing else. It's like, okay. And that's the thing I want to avoid. I don't want to be like that. Of course, I'm kind of like that when we do these episodes, because I'm just doing my thing, and I can't remember what I've said or haven't said, and in what series or what episode I said them. So sometimes I'll repeat myself. But when you consider that I have a couple 100 hours plus of video here, I hope you can forgive me if I repeat myself every once in a while. Besides, you can hold me accountable, right? It's like, hold it. When you told that story last time, there was 3 guys. Now you're telling me there's 2 guys. Yeah. But, yeah. This, getting old sucks. I'll tell you that. Getting old sucks, but it is part of the life, right? And unfortunately, getting old is, or even if you don't like the idea of getting old, it is a privilege that not everyone gets to share, right? And I know a lot of good people who deserve to be a whole lot older than they were when they passed. So, as bad as it is, I think it's still a pretty amazing gift, and I want to enjoy it. So let's take these 2 and make some bricks. Actually, I gotta make the bricks first. And then let's make the framed bricks. There we go. I really do love these open timber, wattle and daub type building styles. I really do love it. And mods like the chip mod, or I mean in this case Domnum Ornamentum, mods like that give you the ability to do this in a more detailed way than what I could do with vanilla alone. It's really great. I really love this stuff. There's a place near where I live called Leavenworth, Washington, and at some point in the 60s they got it into their head to try to be a themed town. Because it's just on the other side of the Cascade Mountains. It's a beautiful area and stuff, and the town has always kind of made its living off of tourism, and they wanted something to kind of help bring in folks. And at some point they kind of, well, I know exactly what spurred them on. There's another town further on called Winthrop, Washington, and they basically themed themselves off Old West town. I mean, it was an Old West town, and some of the pieces of the Old West town still existed, and so these guys just kind of decided to lean into it. So they took the more modern buildings in downtown and redid them so that they look like their old Western buildings, and they had great success bringing in tourists with this genuine, quote unquote, Old West town. So the guys in Winthrop took that idea and they said, well, what do we got? And the thing is if you go to Winthrop, they're right against the mountains, and it very much looks like a scene from the Bavarian Alps. And so that's what they leaned into. They basically said, we're going to go with this alpine Bavarian theme, and to bring it all back to these open timber buildings. Here we are 50, 60 years later, and their whole downtown, it's interesting. I mean, some of the buildings look like medieval German in the same way, like a Hot Pocket looks like or a McDonald's apple pie looks like a regular apple pie, right? It's just like it looks like the Disney version of it. But some of their buildings look really good. They really do look right, and they have this type of open timber construction. And if you see pictures of Bavarian open timber buildings, and similar thing in Alsace, which is now in France, they went beyond just having the open timbers. They really went into like the decoration of kind of this open timber look, with specialized panels with hearts on them, flowers, and oh boy, it's really beautiful to look. That is not what I meant to do. That's not what I meant to do either. Oh, so you get me talking, I lose track of what I'm doing here. So, okay, put this down. Put down the cutting board. And then we can take the bark off these logs. But yeah. So the Leavenworth is a beautiful little town. It is beautiful, and we love to go there. The problem I have is that as much as I love the town, and as much as the town tends to market itself, I think it's being loved to death, and the merchant community really isn't, what I'm trying to say here, coordinated. In other words, if you go there, the busiest time of the year is now, the holiday season. They'll do a tree lighting, and then every night they got all these crazy Christmas lights, and the trees are there. And once it gets snow, people are sledding like right into town and all this stuff. It really is beautiful. But parking, I mean, trying to get a parking space in snow and ice, and then walking in snow and ice to this beautiful downtown, it is such a hassle. It's dangerous, it's cold, and if you're a pedestrian, you got to make sure you don't get run over. If you're a driver, you got to make sure you don't run over a pedestrian. It's really rough. I mean, my family enjoys it, but then again, I'm the one doing the logistics of getting us there and getting us out and trying to do it all with everybody in one piece. I don't enjoy it so much. And I always thought that the merchant community should get together. They've got some city parking lots. The merchant community should get together and pay to build some underground parking garages, right? You don't want them to stick up too high. It kind of breaks the whole Bavarian immersion factor. But, if they had these parking garages, they could have better parking, safer parking, a genuinely better experience, plus kind of improve the number of people that could get in and out of the place. And as a merchant, that's what you want, right? And every year we go, or not every year, every time we go, my wife makes observation that, it's so crowded and stuff. And every time I say my whole piece about what I just said. And every year they don't do anything. Because they do have a good thing going. So they're just kind of taking the money and running. But I think it could be so much better. Anyhow, I think where I started with all this was this open timber stuff, and it is pretty awesome. But yeah, if you like this open timber, do a web search for open timber wattle and daub, and do searches for Bavaria and Alsace, and you'll see some amazing pictures. So, and that's where my dad's side of the family was from, Bavaria, and they left Bavaria at the beginning of the 19th century. So the beginning of where did those guys go? These guys are in here eating my food, making noise, and now they're nowhere to be seen. Interesting. Anyway, yeah, so on my dad's side of the family, part of his family, they were there in Bavaria, and in the early 1800s they immigrated at the invitation of Catherine the Great. Many Germans left Germany and settled in what was then the Russian Empire, and that's what they did. And they stayed there for about 100 years in a place that is now Łódź, Poland. I hope I pronounced it right, but it's spelled Lodz. And there's actually a town there called, it's now part of the city, but it was its own town called Now Solna or something. Now Solna. Anyway, a bunch of German immigrants settled there. Anyhow, and then my family, that part of the family, immigrated to Montana at the beginning of the 20th century. And then, so, that's in my heart, those types of buildings. And then on my mom's side of the family, she had two branches. So one branch is from what is now Baden-Württemberg. It was the Grand Duchy of Baden when they left. They came from the Heidelberg area, and that's got very similar architecture. But she also had a big chunk of her family was from Alsace, Lorraine, right? Which it has almost always been part of France, but it has almost always been German speaking. And they have this fantastic architecture too. So that's maybe where I get this love of it. I have a whole branch of the family too that's Native American, so that's probably where I fell in love with the wide open plains and the mountains and forests. So I gotta. If you ever see my family tree in my DNA results, it looks kind of like it's a small world. But, it's okay. My family's always gotten along with folks from other areas, obviously, because that's who we wound up marrying. But, interesting. It's just interesting. Now, I need to make a bunch of concrete, and I don't have any washing mechanism set up. So, and I've tried this different ways. I'm going to try this way. What I'm going to do is I'm building a tube of concrete powder, and then I'll pour water down the center of the tube, which should basically cure. All the blocks of powder will become blocks of concrete. And then I can jump down into the middle of that and lay down cobblestone or some other stone block right through the middle, and then I can use my my excavating pick to just quickly mine it all in a flash, because that's usually a pain in the butt. So this is the cobblestone I use. I'll put the water in so that I don't have to fall and hurt myself. Take away the water, jump in the water, and then start laying down blocks like that. And switch to my magic pick and just gobble it up. Just like that. Now I can go ahead and finish the barn, or at least the walls of the barn. Is it too early to sleep? Apparently. I would have thought that I saw those guys up here. I mean, I only have one bed. They kind of hang out near beds. Okay. So we'll go down there, and if we have to, I guess I can use my sleeping bag. Really don't know where they went or why they would leave. I haven't seen any groups of pillagers. I haven't seen any bears or anything, right, that would eat them. But they're definitely gone, or being ridiculously quiet. Okay, so this is a good place to be, just in case anything spawns down below. Let's see. We can lay down some blocks while we're at it. And let's finish this. Oh, I thought there was 2 blocks needed there. I'm not going to have enough. Yep. I need 2 more. Okay. So that's not right. That is. Okay, then we'll use the same pattern that we used in the house. So we'll need these upper and lower blocks. I still can't sleep. According to the clock, I can sleep. Well, maybe not. Maybe like a minute away. So set these facing. Okay. If you're new to the series, sometimes we get this, which is, in theory, some mob has one of the sophisticated backpacks on with a jukebox upgrade, and they're in the neighborhood. Probably. I mean, it's pretty big mod pack, and there are a number of mods in there, lots of them, and there are some unintentional side effects between mods, but I'm pretty sure this has something to do with sophisticated backpacks. not a bad tune. I think this is the most I've ever heard of this tune. Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard it to the end like this before. Interesting. This is like uncharted territory. So I guess that wasn't an end, it was just a break. But see, I never got that far before, so interesting. Okay, it's time for a roof. And that's really why I needed all that wood. Let's go ahead and put these parts in the backpack. I won't need them immediately. Give me some working space in the inventory. And what do we need for the roof? I want the same roof piece. Oh, that was abrupt. Okay. I want the same roof bits as I have in the house. It's these ones. Okay. Just 2 planks and stick. 2 planks. So that's easy. It's just a matter of where you put the second planks. Like so. Could eat a whole lot more than that. That's enough to get us started. Don't want to go too crazy because I don't want to be left with a lot of leftover roof bits. These roof bits are obviously not vanilla. They're from Macaw's roofs. If you haven't seen the Macaw's family of mods, they are pretty awesome. And the guy has put a lot of time and effort into some cool functionality. These roofs will mesh together a lot like vanilla stair pieces will, and that really helps make them look sharp. It helps to achieve some effects that would be pretty much impossible to do without it. So, and you know, he's got windows and doors and all these other mods, and they're great too. Like the windows open, right? You can pop in windows and you can open the windows, and depending on the size of the window, you can go in and out the window. You know, just like you do when you're sneaking out of your room when you're grounded. But I'm just saying, I'm not saying you did that, I'm not saying I do that, I'm just saying I've seen it in movies or something, right? I do remember, I guess I was in 8th grade, and when we had moved to a new house, it was after my parents were divorced, and my mom moved back to San Diego with her sister, so I was living with my cousins, and we got this new house, and I remember I discovered that my room had a window that was right over the front door, and there was kind of like this trellis that went around the house, so you could climb out the window onto the trellis, and then from there you could, drop down or do whatever. And I remember I was trying to freak my sister out, because what I would do is I talk to her, say, hey, how you doing, which should have gotten her attention, because normally we didn't talk to each other as kids. And then I'd go up to my room, and then I'd climb out the window and climb onto the trellis, drop down, and then come in through the front door, and then tell her, hey, how you doing? Hi. And, I wanted to see how many times I could do that before she started to question what was going on, because she didn't see me come downstairs. I just kept coming in from the front door. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was a great idea. And just like a lot of my practical jokes on my sister, it completely backfired, because she just didn't care. Just couldn't care less. So I think I did it 8 times, 9 times, something along, and she never said a word. So I didn't do it. Later, my cousins came home from school. They were a couple years younger than us, and went to a different school. And I did the same thing to them. And the third time, they're like, hold it. I didn't see you come downstairs. And it's like, oh, you didn't? Yeah, they started to freak out a little bit. But, it might have been, too, that my sister was used to me. So she might have been intensely curious, but she wasn't going to play into it. Right? Just trying to outcool me. But, yeah. Let's face it. When you're in 8th grade and your sister's in 5th grade, there is no cool factor. Or was she in 6th grade? I don't know. Nobody's cool at that age. Nobody. This past weekend we were in Sequim, Washington, right? And we were there in downtown for the big tree lighting ceremony, and then they have a parade of tractors. The tractors are all lit up for Christmas. They're basically floats, and it's a lot of fun. But again, you want to talk about not cool? I mean, you got the high school kids up there, and they're trying to be cool. I get that, but and you saw these junior high school kids, they were trying to be cool too. But as soon as the tractors came by with the lights and stuff, they're all bouncing around and cheering and waving. It's like, you're not being cool, man. You're being a little too excited to be cool. And then then you get older, and you're like, forget it. I'm gonna react however I want to react, and you don't like it, too bad. So, yep, life's too short to spend it living a way that somebody else thinks you should live it. Right? Live it the way you want to live it. It's your life. But, yeah, I think that's one of the things. When you get older, you start having ideas about, man, if only I had done this instead of that, or maybe only if I hadn't done this in the past. And yeah, first of all, there is some value in that, because some of the things you did, the fact that you survived or came out of it relatively okay, that it was a learning moment, right? And that's part of what life's about. But some of the other stuff, like I got out of the Air Force. I got out of the Air Force for a girl, and we wound up not being together anyway. So in the end, that sucked, right? But at the same token, I mean, and I thought about it many, many times. I was like, man, I wish I'd never gotten out of the Air Force. Well, yeah, but some really great things happened because I got out of the Air Force when I did. So, and that's ultimately how it goes. There was a Facebook meme that I had recently reposted. And it's like, I guess I can say about my life, it didn't go as planned. And that's okay. It really is okay. Like I said, my sister once had a bit of an emotional episode because her life wasn't happening the way she thought it should be. She thought she was like on a schedule and way behind schedule and wasn't as successful as she was supposed to be and blah, blah, blah. Why? Right? Don't worry about it. Just make the best of it. So it's important to have plans. It's important to have dreams and goals. Absolutely. But if your dreams and goals don't pan out, make new dreams and goals. Right? So there you go. There's a roof. I was, looking at the clock. I wasn't quite sure I was going to finish this. I mean, the barn's not finished. I wasn't sure how I was going to finish the roof. But that's looking pretty good. Now, these doors, I had to leave them 3 blocks high because if you're riding a horse in Minecraft, you're 3 blocks high. And if you go through a doorway that's 2 blocks high, you will take some damage, one would think, from bumping your head squarely into the wall, but actually you take suffocation damage as your face passes through that block. So in the end, it's kind of the same. But what I'm looking at here is I have a mod called Dramatic Doors, and they have 3 block high doors. Unfortunately, they don't use the same texture as the 2 block high doors, and I have an awesome texture from the Lithos resource pack. And unfortunately, I don't have any spruce. I don't even think I have spruce in my neighborhood. I'm gonna have to go get some. But yeah, I mean, looking at the clock, I don't have a whole lot of time to start anything new, but I do want to take a moment to kind of admire my handiwork here. Well, I think I'm too high up and too far away. So let's get a little lower and get a little closer. That's better. Of course, everything's hidden in shadow. No, it's not the view I want. Let's try the sunny side. There you go. This is actually a pretty good view. You see, yeah, this works. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do for the windows. Normally you don't put big glass, fancy glass windows in a barn. I was thinking like maybe trapdoors and use them like shutters, or I don't know, something like that. And inside we'll need to put in rafters and put in a hayloft, put in stalls for individual horses, redo the floor because right now it's all nice mowed grass. But this is a pretty good start. I think it definitely is what I wanted it to be, what I needed it to be. And now I'm just kind of wondering how I would, if I should really extend the barn at all to the other pens. I really don't know. Because the way I have it now, it doesn't really, I can't think of any clean way of extending this except for the whole barn itself, but I don't know. I'll have to think about it. This is what I do between episodes, is think about where I left off and where I want to go next. And I like this approach. The series, doing the series actually kind of forces me to be much more deliberate. I still experiment a bit, but it's not random, right? The experimentations are based usually on a more thoughtful approach, and I like the results. But hopefully you like the results. Hopefully this was a good time for you, and hopefully it was good enough that you'll come back for more. And really hope that was enough for you feel compelled to say something. Say what you liked, say what you didn't like, say hi. Say Happy Hanukkah, say Merry Christmas, say Happy Kwanzaa. Whatever works for you, right? And in the meanwhile, I hope this finds you and yours in good health, good spirits, and perhaps a touch of good fortune. Cheers.